Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. We are back on the holy grounds of the Carnegie Caufield Cycling Club's Glenvale Circuit, aka the Church. We're ready to get crucified, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the final crit of the season for those guys. It's club champs. So everyone's down here. We've got a huge field of 40 plus riders in this race. It was hot from the gun. I think we'll look at it later, but I think I averaged 48 kilometers an hour just in that first 30 minutes. It did not let up with numerous attacks, left, right, and center, but we'll touch on that a little bit later on. So these club champs were held on the 26th of March, which was a Sunday morning, pretty overcast, average looking Melbourne morning, and you can see that the wind played a little bit of a factor. There was a bit of a headwind coming into that final straight, so you just had to be mindful of that when you're moving up in the bunch or even in the final kick. Although not to say that the form wasn't quite there coming into this race. After the tour of Mansfield, I've been heavy in the gym, just endless bicep curls, getting ready for summer, as I want to make sure my post-up game is dialed in for the next season of racing. But all that heavy lifting is not going to stop me from absolutely having a crack at this race here. So what are we, 12 minutes into this race, and it's been hot from the gun, really. It's been riders constantly trying to get away. And I had a bit of a plan, a bit of a tactic, a bit of a strategy coming into this race. It was to try to jump in a breakaway in the first 20 to 30 minutes of this race. If nothing is sticking from then, I'm going to go to the back of the field or sit mid-pack, not do any work, roll around and let my legs recover for the last 3 laps. So as always with these crits, it's a 50-minute race plus 3 laps, so they'll show the 3, 2, 1 on the side when we cross the start-finish line. I'll point that out later on. So yeah, in order to stay fresh for the finish, I'm going to try to sit up and just take it easy from about 30 minutes to go. Now you can see here I've been fortunate enough to be on the right wheel at the right time. Mark O'Brien's putting in a huge monster effort in order to bridge across to the riders that are up the road. There's probably about 6, 7 of them that are already trying to make a move to get away from the main peloton. So I thought I'm not had to do any massive efforts in order to jump onto a wheel. The breakaway, or the move rather, happened just in front of me, so why not jump onto it? And it's got some proper hitters. Obviously Mark O'Brien was the one that kind of sled that one out initially. Now got a bridge lane rider here who's also a hitter doing work just to bring me across, and I'm happy to sit in. I'm 178 beats, around threshold heart rate. I've now gotten across to the group thanks to those guys, but now it looks like there's a little bit of indecision going on. You can see riders were spreading out across the road, no one really willing to do any work. We've got Pat Lane on the front here driving, but now we've spread out across the road. Little do we know, behind us there's a gap, a small one. There's riders splintered across the road, but there's a gap nonetheless. So when you see riders starting to go with this, you just got to go. I know it's early in the race, 13 minutes in, but you know, my strategy initially was to try to get in a move in the first, 10 to 20, 30 minutes. And that's how it's playing out at the moment. So I'm happy with this. I know that if I can burn a match here, maybe it'll work out. Who knows? If not, I'm going to give myself plenty of time to recover later on in this race. So we've got a whole bunch of riders here doing some big work in order to establish a bit of a break. No one else is up the road. This is the break. You look in the rear cam now, and you can see there's probably, 3-second, 4-second gap behind us, but we've got some proper hitters in this one. The biggest thing that I am concerned about in this break, though, is that the lack of cycle speed riders. What are cycle speed riders, you say? Well, that is a relative new team that started up here in Melbourne, and they're pretty easy to spot with their crazy purple and black nicks, and they've got some proper hitters on their team as well, which I'll be talking about over the next coming videos and definitely in the upcoming seasons of Fresh Crits. So with none of those guys in this break, I can almost guarantee they're going to be at the front of the race right now looking to bring this break back, because when you have 5 or 6 riders in a team all willing to roll through, a break of 5 seconds is going to get brought back in probably a lap or 2, and that's exactly what's happening now as Marco swings off. The pace will inevitably drop as we no longer have 500 watts driving the pace forward. So that's basically where we're at right now. You can see there's a little bit of looking around, who's going to do the work, who's going to pull through. I've found myself on the front now, willing to come through, and you know, you can see in the rear cam now, the group's basically latched on. I've looked behind, realised there's no point pushing this, and now it's all about the next counter-attack that's going to come through. Now you can see it coming on the rear cam. It's going to come from the right-hand side here. You can see the Cycle House riders ripping past here. You can see that, I think that's Joshy's second wheel. That's the counter-attack you have to be aware of. Now, I've just been in the break, heart rate's up a little bit. Now I'm going to filter myself back. Don't let myself drift too far. Filter myself back with the hope that I can recover and join in on the next move. So that all happened in a pretty short amount of time. We're only 16 minutes into this race, and yeah, it's been pretty hot from the gun, as you can already see. It was only a few minutes later, you can see that there's a little break that is forming up the road only a few seconds in front, and I'm thinking, I've been at the front of the race, I haven't let myself drift too far back. This could be an opportune time to jump across to this, because that makes up a good composure of riders. And this break could stick. You know, we're 20 minutes into this race, there's 31 Ks remaining. I've definitely seen breaks get established at this part of the race and stay ahead. Now, the issue is that this break, I don't think, has any cycle speed riders, and you can see here there's a couple at the front, and we've got Run Rider here that's making a bit of a break off the front, and we've got Tom Lombardi, gives him the nod saying, get on with it, I'm going to hold up the rest of the bunch, but the rest of the guys are well onto that, and we all jump across. So we form a little bit of a group here. There's about 7 riders in this break that needs to bridge across to the other group that's up the road. And we've already, if you look in the rear cam, there's already been a small little gap established. It's nothing major. We're talking 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds at a stretch. Now, I found myself at the back of this, which is fantastic. With my heart rate at 184, I've done a few big efforts in order to get this move established and jump in it. I'm hurting right now, there's no doubt about that. I'm absolutely hurting, and I really can't offer much compared to some of the hitters that are in this one. Now, once that break has been everyone's been brought together at this moment now, you can see all of us have slowed down. We spread across the road. There's a lot of looking around, being like, who's going to jump across to this one? In the rear cam, a few more riders have jumped onto this, so this is now forming into a pretty sizable move. There's got to be at least 10 riders in this break, which at this time of the race, like I said, 20 minutes in, that's perfect. You know what I mean? You want a decent group to be rolling through. That's the key word, rolling through. If you've got a lot of people that are just hanging off the back, not doing any work, then you're going to see this break get blown apart pretty quickly as people start to attack the break itself. But either way, I'm going to speed up the clip now and show everybody rolling through. You can see it is a pretty sizable group, so you're not going to have to hit the wind all that often. But even when you're avoiding the wind, when you've got Mark O'Brien and a few other hitters in this, I'm still having to put out, I'm working 180 beats a minute just to stay in this move. You know, obviously the fitness is not there. Fitness isn't there, that's okay, but there's not really any recovery. You're working hard just to stay in this, and it's funny, as soon as Marco drops off, the pace slows down. If we had a few more of him, this break would be done and dusted. Happy days. You'd be licking your lips for the win. But in saying that, we're all still pulling really, really solid turns. It's a good makeup of riders. We've got a lot of hitters. Marco helps. Having a couple of cycle speed riders definitely helps as well. But as I bring the clip back to normal speed, I'm now almost next in line to come through. And if you can just catch a glimpse in the rear cam shortly, you'll actually see that the peloton is slowly starting to gain on us. We've got Alex Edney pulling a really nice turn here. The Master of Super Random guy isn't interested. I'm not too impressed that his turn was a microsecond long. But now I'm on the front and I get a glimpse of what's behind me, and the peloton's right there. So the gig is up. The gig is up. The break is done. We've been brought back, and now you need to be so mindful of that next counterattack. And this is where the difference between the amateur and the pro riders is the pro riders are able to just go again. They've been sitting in that move, tapping at tempo or maybe just over at threshold. For them to go again, it's easy for them. Meanwhile, myself, I'm working almost VO2 to stay in that move. I need a couple of minutes to recover in order to go again. So you can see the rest of the group has now caught us, and when that happens, they sit up, and that's when that counter needs to happen. So you can see there's already one rider trying his way to get off the front. But, you know, you look at where you're at right now. We've got a Bridgestone rider, we've got Bentley in the mix, Pat Lane was just up the road. This is not a bad place to be. You know, Josh Bruker here, this is a good spot to be. Rest and recover. wait your time. 25 minutes into this race, I'm almost at my half an hour cutoff now, where I need to start sitting in. So yeah, that's basically the 1 or 2 moves that I've been in now, which are both unfortunately unsuccessful, but that doesn't matter. There still might be more to come, so stay tuned. In life, you have to make some really major decisions, you know. It could be things like, what am I going to study at uni? What am I going to major in? Am I going to have kids? What house should I buy? What car should I buy? What bike should I buy? Should I go SRAM, Shimano, or Campy? You know, these are massive decisions that one needs to make in their life, but there is no bigger decision you need to make than right now is, should I be jumping into this move? It's just gone in front of me. It's got a great makeup of riders. We're 30 minutes into this race, remember. It's almost at my cutoff, but it's right there. 178 bits. I'm cooked. I'm already tired. But this could be that one life-changing decision that I make to get across this move that could potentially win the race. So I get out of the saddle. I jump over. Fortunately enough, a couple of other riders come with me. This is just another example of, you know, what sort of moves, what sort of decisions should I be making each race in order to make sure I can get in the right break that'll whittle down the numbers so I don't have to sprint against heavy hitters like Edney and Lane and a few of the others. Fortunately, this break never established to anything, but I was there. I was ready to go. And that's the most important thing. Now, let's skip a little bit further forward where I filter down the back and go invisible for the rest of the peloton for a while. I've been sniffing around down the back now for about 10 minutes, keeping out of the wind, taking it easy, 168 beats, things are going okay, you know, I'm hiding. You know, I haven't touched the front for a long time, and things are good, you know. Still, no breaks have been established, there's been lots of attacks, but nothing's really been established yet, so I'm in a pretty good place. All things are good. So not until I come around this corner and disaster strikes. Riders get pushed wide, I get forced wide, I end up in the gutter. I hit the deck, save the bike, get out of people's way, and manage to avoid a pretty hairy accident in the final race of the year. Now, I've been very, very lucky this year. No, I haven't hit the deck. I've stayed rubber side up until this one last ride, but you know, fortunately, I was able to get on the brakes early, commando roll in the end. The bike was fine, thank God. A couple of scratches to the wheel, which is okay. A bent derailleur hanger. That's like 50 bucks, no stress at all. This is a part of bike racing. What caused it? I think, I don't know, it might have been some C graders in the apex of the corner. At the end of the day, regardless, it's a racing incident. These things happen. Just thank God no one was hurt. And that's that. So after this, I shook myself off. I probably should have spent a little bit more time just kind of assessing everything. Shook myself off a little bit and managed to rejoin the race straight after this. But yeah, like I said, there was no issues. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was absolutely fine. It's just one of those things that happens. Back in the race. I've dusted myself off. Everyone's like, Steve, that was insane what you did. You do your own stunts. You are a madman. I cannot believe you're back in this race. I'm going to have to grab your autograph. And I'm like, look, fellas, this is just a day in the life of Fresh Crits. It's not when a break heads off right in front of me. I'm like, I've got to get onto this. You know, we are 52 minutes of this race. It's almost finished. 4.6 kilometers to go. And all of a sudden, this rider's not going to pull through. He's clogged up the road. What are we doing? This break is blowing out, and this could be that one moment. I always talk about these life choices we need to make. So I get into the drops, and I absolutely boot it across. Fortunately, I think that's Dill. I'm able to jump into his slipstream. He's got a really nice kick, but he's not got a massive frame, so it's quite a small draft. He flicks the elbow. I try to get as aero as possible. Got Harry in my rear wheel trying to get over to this break because anything could stick. You know, when they're this deep into the race, any sort of little break, any moment, it could be the one. But I had a bit of a look behind me. You can see the whole peloton is right on my wheel. So there's no real need to be stressing out. You got Bentley, the club champ from last year. He's not hitting the wind. He's just sitting in the wheels, recovering, taking it easy. The cycle speed guys, same thing, sitting in the wheels, recovering. I don't need to be at the front. Save yourself, Flacky, for the end, is what I should be telling myself in hindsight. We've got Andy Sampson. I think that is giving me a bit of a wave there. And we're almost at the end of this bike race. 3.6 Ks to go. There's probably about 4 laps left. We're going to get the 3-lap sign very, very soon. So all the riders that are, want to be contending this finish are going to want to start moving up in this bike race. And you can see in the rear cam, it's the cycle speed riders. They've sounded the alarm. They've decided to assemble and move up to the front of this bike race to start the lead out, to start moving their sprinter into the right position. 3.2 Ks to go. It's pretty early. There's still a lot of this race to go. You don't want to be hitting that front too early because you're only going to burn riders, you're only going to burn matches, but you can see up the front there is a little break. There's 3 riders up there. Bentley is pulling a huge turn to get across. He swings off. No one's too keen to come through, and this is where that break can stick. That one move that I was talking about before. This is where it can be established if not enough riders are committed to bring it back. So that's why you always need to have almost near the front of the bike race, wanting to jump in any available move, but not too far forward that you're hitting wind. It's such a hard mix to get. You can see there, all of a sudden there's been a move. Andy Sampson, bang, goes straight across onto it. I have to follow that wheel. Like I said, it's that one moment. Mind you, in the real world, I've probably got 1, maybe 2 matches left. And I'm burning them right now to get across with this move. Maybe, in hindsight, I really should have been sitting back and letting someone else jump across to this. But you can see in the rear cam already, there's a small gap. There's probably 10 people in this small move, with there's still 3 riders up the road. I like these chances. I like these odds. You need to be in there, but you just don't want to be burning all your matches in order to get across, because you can see the pace has already dropped back. Riders have started to fan across the road. I reckon that group's almost been caught. Bentley's on the front again, burning more matches. You can see that's 3 riders up the front with a small gap. Who's going to be bringing that one back? Because I think one of them's a cycle speed rider, so that team's not going to do any work. They're just going to be disrupting the chase, which is fair enough. That's all a part of bike racing. We've talked about that before. But they're so close. Bentley's still on the front, driving the pace. It's not until here he swings off and the cream rises to the top. Andy Sampson sees straight away. It's a split moment where as soon as he swings off, the group fans out, he goes, bang, off the front. And he's already getting across. There's now an absolute scramble in order to get across to that. Pat Lane's been sitting in the wheels. He's going to keep his legs nice and fresh. Edney's in front of me. He's fresh. But this is the one moment, the one mistake I make is I forgo my position at the front. And I let all these riders come through. I go from probably, 10th position all the way down to 20th. In an instant, it happens that quickly. And with 1.4 Ks to go, and us cruising around at 50 kilometers an hour, how on earth is anyone supposed to move up when the pace is this fast? It's impossible. You can't do it unless you've got a monster lead out, man. But there's still some time. I think we're on lap 2, so next lap's going to be bell lap. 1.1 Ks to go, maybe a little bit more than that. But I'm so far back. It is so hard to move up from this. 48 kilometers an hour. When is the group going to swell? As soon as it does, you need to be moving straight back up to the front of the bike race. You can see, you got a glimpse in the rear cam. We've got Bentley. He's just come to the front. Bentley, ex-club champ. He's trying to find his way to move up, but it's almost too late from him. The group is almost single file, 52 kilometers an hour. There's a move up on the inside. I jump onto this. I have to. I've got no other choice. You can hear the bell in the background to signify that this is the bell lap, the last lap of the bike race. And I'm doing whatever I can to move up. I'm trying to find the wheels, but the legs aren't quite there. I was up to 600 watts in order to stay with Bentley here. It's a nice passing lane here, but I'm going to be blocked by this rider number 40. I'm in the worst spot. I'm right on the outside. I need to find a passing lane, but the legs aren't quite there. And I'm already being forced back. Alex has got the legs. He's finding some place to move up. I'm probably sitting at 15th. But at 53 kilometers an hour, the whole group, the riders that have been sitting in, are now starting to surge past me. One of the cycle speed riders swings off. He's done his turn of work at the front, keeping the pace nice and high. Coming onto the almost the second last corner here. I'm trying to find on the outside some space to move up, but I'm eating a ton of wind, as well as burning more matches. It isn't until I round this corner here where the gig is up. There's no point sprinting for 15th wheel. I don't care what you say. Unless you're contending for the top 10 finish, there is no point sprinting for anything below that. It's pointless. I think, that's my opinion. And that's pretty much the bike race. I claim it as a bunch finish. Had everything, stacks, crashes, breakaways that didn't stick, matches burnt, everything. It was full on. I'll put the results up here, where we had in first place Pat Lane, second was Bentley, and third place was Lombardi. So huge congrats to Pat for getting the win. And that's pretty much a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching another episode of the Fresh Crits of Melbourne. If you did enjoy watching me crash, then I will link below a full crash wheel of me crashing mountain bikes in Medina, Tasmania. And that's pretty much a wrap. Stay rebel side down, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.